He was once broke, struggling to survive, while the woman he loved treated him like he was nothing, cheating on him, starving him, and eventually leaving him for a rich man. But life had other plans. Years later, he rose to become a highly successful tech engineer and crypto developer, worth millions. Then, one ordinary day, he saw her again, his ex, the same woman who humiliated him, now dirty, broken, and begging by the roadside with her twins. What happened next is a story of fate, justice, and mercy, one that will leave you speechless. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and dive into this powerful tale. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up so you never miss our unforgettable, life-changing stories.
Femi came into the world quietly, without celebration, on a humid night in Lagos, Nigeria, in a small two-room apartment where the walls carried more cracks than paint and the ceiling whispered stories each time the rain fell. His birth was not announced with drums or feasting, but with tired smiles and whispered prayers. His parents looked at him and hoped he would know a life kinder than theirs. They had no wealth to offer him, but they had dignity, faith, and endurance, the kind that bends but never breaks. His father, Mr. Adibanjo, was a retired primary school teacher whose pension arrived late and left early. It was the kind of money that came with apology instead of comfort, barely enough to buy food for 2 days. His mother, Mama Femi, was a market woman, strong-backed and sharp-eyed, who woke before dawn, tied her wrapper firmly, balanced trays of tomatoes, peppers, and onions on her head, and walked into the rising dust of the market with God as her only business partner. Their home was poor, but it was clean. There was always prayer in the morning and thanksgiving at night, even when there was little to thank God for. In that house, hunger was not a stranger. It visited often, sometimes unannounced, sometimes staying longer than expected. Femi learned early how to drink water to quiet his stomach, how to pretend he was not hungry so his parents could eat, and how to find happiness in small mercies. On rare evenings, when his father brought home suya or bread, the room felt like a palace. On the months when the landlord did not knock, it felt like divine intervention. His parents never complained aloud. They believed life was a long road, and that patience was the walking stick that kept a man standing. As a child, Femi watched his mother count coins slowly, separating money for food from money for transport, and his father polish old shoes before church until they looked almost new. From them he learned discipline. From poverty, he learned hunger for something better. School became his refuge, the one place where effort promised reward. While other children dreamed of football or music, Femi dreamed of escape through education. He studied by lantern light, borrowed books, and asked questions until teachers noticed the quiet boy with eyes full of determination. When he gained admission into the University of Lagos to study computer science, his parents cried openly. Pride and fear mixed in their tears. They sold small belongings to pay his first-year fees. Mama Femi woke even earlier to reach the market before others so she could sell more and send him money for food. Femi promised himself, his parents, and God that their sacrifice would not be wasted. University life exposed him to another Nigeria, one that lived loudly and dressed expensively. Some students arrived in cars, wore designer clothes, and treated money like water. Femi owned 2 pairs of jeans and rotated his shirts carefully. He did not attend parties. He attended the computer lab. Night after night, while laughter echoed outside, he sat before flickering screens, teaching himself programming languages beyond the syllabus. He learned cybersecurity, web development, and systems engineering, driven by fear of returning to the life he came from. Hunger often followed him to bed, and many nights he slept with gari and cold water in his stomach. He told no one.
Silence became his shield. When graduation finally came, Femi believed the worst was over. He imagined a good job, a stable income, and relief for his parents. He imagined sending money home without fear. But life smiled thinly at his plans. Months passed. CVs were printed and rejected. Offices smiled politely and promised to call. They never did. His savings dried up. Hope began to feel heavy in his chest. Eventually, he found a job at a small IT repair company. The office was cramped, the generator unreliable, and the pay barely enough to survive. Still, Femi accepted it with gratitude. He rented a single-room apartment with peeling paint and a mattress on the floor. Every morning, he ironed his shirt carefully and went to work determined to prove himself. It was during this fragile season that Nana entered his life. Nana did not arrive loudly. She came like a gentle breeze that feels pleasant before it becomes a storm. She was beautiful, ambitious, and full of dreams. At first, she visited only sometimes. Then her visits became frequent. Then her things slowly stayed behind. A small suitcase, wigs, perfume that smelled expensive. On good days, she called him her genius and laughed easily. On bad days, she looked around the room and sighed the sigh of someone who believed life owed her more. In the beginning, love was warm and soft. Nana cooked and waited by the window for his return. They ate together, knees touching, talking about a future apartment with a balcony and curtains that danced with the wind. Femi promised her a better tomorrow, and she smiled. But slowly the smile learned impatience. Tomorrow took too long. Comparisons entered quietly. There was always someone doing better. A former coursemate with a car, a friend with an apartment in Lekki. Nana's words became sharper, wrapped in jokes that cut. Femi absorbed them silently. He believed patience could save love. He believed endurance was proof of loyalty. One evening, he returned early from work with Suya, hoping to surprise her. The door was not locked. Laughter he did not recognize filled the room. A strange man sat on his bed, confidence written in his posture. Nana stood close, her scarf slightly loose. The truth did not need explanation. Nana cried. She begged. She spoke of need and desperation. Femi's heart cracked, but he forgave her. Not because it did not hurt, but because forgiveness was the only language he knew. Peace returned briefly, like Harmattan sunshine, then faded again. Lies grew bolder. Phones turned face down. Perfume lingered where it should not. Nana became restless. Femi prayed longer, his prayers no longer eloquent but desperate. He worked harder, taking small extra jobs. He loved deeper, hoping love would change fate.
Nana left with safety and support, but regret followed her like a shadow. In quiet moments, she remembered the man she once rejected and the life that could have been. She understood too late that patience outlives pride, that character weighs more than riches, and that some lessons arrive only after the door has closed. And so the road taught its final lesson, that true wealth is not found in quick comfort, but in endurance, that those who despise humble beginnings often pay with lasting regret, and that life, like the elders say, always balances its books, even if it takes years to do so. The day he decided to propose, he believed love could still win. He saved for months, skipped meals, sold his old laptop, and denied himself every comfort. He bought a simple ring and chose a mall because he believed public joy could heal private wounds. In front of strangers, he knelt. Nana rejected him. She said she could not marry a poor man. She said love without money was suffering. The crowd watched, phones recorded, his dignity scattered across the tiled floor. 2 days later, Nana returned to say goodbye. Her voice was calm. She was marrying a richer man.
She said she could not suffer twice, and then she left. The door closed quietly, but something loud broke inside Femi. The video went viral. Laughter and judgment flooded the internet. Strangers debated his worth. Femi withdrew from the world. He stopped eating properly. He avoided calls. Shame wrapped around him like a heavy cloth. One night, when the weight became unbearable, he stood on Third Mainland Bridge, staring into the dark water below, ready to let the pain end everything. A taxi driver stopped, spoke gently, reminded him that roads bend before they end. That night, Femi went home instead of disappearing. The next morning, something shifted inside him. He updated his CV with shaking hands. A former schoolmate called unexpectedly. An opportunity opened where none had existed. Femi prepared and showed up with quiet confidence. He got the job. Then another opportunity followed. He worked like a man pursued by his past, learning relentlessly, improving systems, and solving problems others avoided. Slowly, life began to respond. Promotions came. His income grew. He learned to invest, first cautiously, then boldly. Land turned into property. Skills turned into wealth. Years passed, and poverty loosened its grip. Femi moved into better homes, drove better cars, and sent money home without fear. But he remained disciplined, careful not to forget where he came from. One hot afternoon in Lagos, fate completed its circle. Femi stepped out of his car and heard a familiar voice begging softly. He turned and saw Nana, dirty, thin, broken. She sat by the roadside with twin children, their faces dusty and tired. The rich life she had chosen had collapsed. Her husband had fallen to crime and prison. Poverty had claimed her. Femi did not mock her. He did not remind her of her words. He helped her. He fed her children, gave her shelter, and provided a path to begin again. But he did not return to her. His heart had healed and moved forward.